The rain was falling in cold. Heavy sheets when Elena Parker finally reached the outskirts of Ravenshade, a forgotten little town tucked deep in the American countryside. Her car headlights cut through the fog. As she turned down a narrow dirt road, the trees closing in like walls on either side. She was exhausted, not just from the drive, but from life itself. Months of restless nights, bad memories, and the lingering ache of a heartbreak she couldn't talk about. All she wanted was quiet, silence, peace, something to stop the noise inside her head. When the old mansion appeared through the rain, it looked almost beautiful. Tall, lonely, its windows glowing faintly through the storm. The owner had told her it was over 100 years old, built by a family that had long vanished. She parked outside, stepped into the rain, and stared up at the house for a moment. She thought she saw a figure at one of the upstairs windows, but when she blinked, it was gone. Inside, the floorboards creaked under her feet. The faint scent of damp wood, dust, and something metallic lingered in the air. The mansion was colder than she expected. Boxes stood untouched by the wall, and her own shadow flickered across the walls. As lightning flashed outside, she began unpacking, humming softly to steady herself. That's when she noticed it standing in the hallway. Near the staircase, an antique mirror, tall and wide, framed in blackened wood, with intricate carvings. She didn't remember seeing it in the listing photos. The glass was slightly darker, like a film of smoke had settled over it. As she looked into it, her reflection blinked, but not in sync with her. Elena froze. Her throat went dry. Then she laughed quietly. "It's just my imagination," she whispered. That night, she sat in her small studio editing photographs. The faint outline of the mirror loomed behind her. As she adjusted the exposure on a photo, something in the reflection moved. Her hand stopped on the mouse. She turned around. The hallway was empty. To calm herself, she covered the mirror with an old bedsheet before going to bed. But when morning came, the sheet was gone. The mirror stood uncovered, and right in front of it lay a small old photograph. It showed a woman with dark hair, standing in the same hallway, her eyes blank and lifeless. The photo looked decades old. Its corners yellowed. Elena's pulse quickened. She didn't remember unpacking this. Maybe it was left by the previous owner, she murmured. But deep inside, something told her that wasn't true. That evening, the whispers began. At first, they were soft, almost like the sighing of the wind through the cracks, but soon, they formed words. Elena, her blood ran cold. She turned toward the sound. It came from the mirror. Her flashlight trembled in her hand as she approached. The surface of the glass rippled faintly, as if it were made of liquid. And then, a pale hand pressed from the inside. Elena screamed and dropped the flashlight. When she picked it up, the mirror looked perfectly normal again, but the photograph was gone. Days passed. The whispering grew louder. The reflection sometimes moved on its own. Doors closed by themselves at night. She heard footsteps pacing the hallway, stopping only in front of the mirror. One night, unable to take it anymore, she started searching online for anything about the house. In an old newspaper archive, she found a report from 1989. It mentioned a woman named Abigail Moore, who had mysteriously vanished from this same address. The only clue police found was a broken mirror and bloodstains near it. The case was never solved. Elena's hands trembled as she scrolled. Next to the article was Abigail's photo, the same woman she'd seen in that old picture. Her eyes widened. Oh my God. That night, she set up her phone on a tripod, recording the mirror. She covered it with a sheet again, determined to prove she wasn't imagining things. At exactly 3:07 a.m., the footage captured the sheet slowly sliding off on its own. A faint silhouette of a woman formed behind the glass. Her lips moved, whispering something inaudible. The next morning, Elena watched the footage with shaking hands. The ghostly reflection turned its head toward the camera and smiled. The following nights grew worse. The air around the mirror turned colder. Her breath became visible. Her reflection stopped matching her movements. When she waved her hand, the reflection stood still. When she looked away, it smiled. Her nerves began to crumble. She started sleeping in the car, afraid to stay inside, but every time she closed her eyes, she heard that whisper again. "Don't leave me." Determined to end it, Elena visited the Ravenshade Historical Society the next day. The old caretaker, Mr. Harlow, looked pale when she mentioned the mansion. "That house," he said softly, "should have been torn down years ago." Abigail Moore was the last person to live there. She believed the mirror was a gateway, that her husband's soul was trapped inside after his death. Elena's mouth went dry. What happened to her? Mr. Harlow sighed. She tried to destroy the mirror. The next morning, she was gone. No body was ever found, but some say she still watches. From inside the glass, that night, Elena returned to the mansion one last time. She planned to break the mirror, just like Abigail had. The storm outside roared as thunder rattled the windows. She picked up a hammer. Standing before the mirror, her own reflection stared back, but its expression wasn't hers, it was smiling. "Stay," the reflection whispered. "Stay with me." She raised the hammer. The reflection's smile twisted. The glass began to ripple violently, and from within it, two pale hands shot out, grabbing her wrists. Elena screamed, struggling to pull free. The hammer fell to the floor with a loud clang. The hands tightened their grip, dragging her toward the mirror's surface, which now shimmered like black water. "No, let me go," she cried. Her voice echoed through the empty mansion, and then vanished, as the mirror swallowed her whole. When the storm cleared, the house was silent again. The front door remained locked from the inside. Days later, the police arrived after neighbors reported strange lights and screams. Inside, everything looked untouched, except the mirror, which now showed faint smudges of fingerprints. From the inside, Elena was gone. Weeks later, a family moving into the house found a camera near the hallway. The last video file was still intact. It showed Elena setting up the camera, placing it in front of the mirror. Hours of nothing until the sheet began to move. At 3:07 a.m., a figure appeared, a woman, pale, hollow-eyed, whispering something softly. Then, as lightning flashed and another reflection appeared beside her, Elena, her eyes were blank. Her lips moved in sync with the ghost's, whispering the same words. "Stay with me." The video ended. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more spine-chilling tales, mind-twisting mysteries, and heart-pounding thrillers, because every story hides a secret, and some secrets refuse to stay buried. And if you want us to narrate your story, drop a comment below. We might reach out to bring your tale to life.